Today, for the first time on my channel, I'm going to be talking about the minor scale. First, I'm going to be doing some drawings where I show the theory and how all of it works and how it relates to the major scale. And then I'm going to be going over to the guitar and doing a little bit of demonstration for you on that. Today, we will be looking at the minor scale to get a good understanding of it. In one of my previous videos, guitar scales, I showed how we can actually find the relative minor scale within the major scale. We get it by playing the major scale, but starting on the sixth note or the sixth degree of the major scale. Starting with that as our root note and going to the sixth note of the next octave, we have what's called the Aeolian mode. The Aeolian mode is just a fancy name for the minor scale. Remember that everything essentially can be viewed as coming from the major scale. The Aeolian mode comes from the major scale, from the sixth interval. Today I want to show you this minor scale some more, but to analyze it in a different way. First of all, let's review some basics about the major scale. The major scale has the interval pattern whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Whole step is 2 frets on the guitar, half step is 1 fret. Now using this interval pattern, we get the scale degrees that we call or name 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1 again for the octave. This is the major scale. Now let's take another look at the minor scale from a different angle. If we were to take the same Aeolian mode and compare it to the scale degrees from the major scale, we would have these intervals, right? So we notice that the 3rd degree, the 6th degree, and the 7th degree are flat. That is, if we were to compare the C major key with the C minor key, we would have that relationship where we would have these notes for the key of C major, and we would have these notes for the key of C minor. So again, to clear things up here, because this can get a little confusing, we're not comparing the minor key that comes from the key of C major. We're comparing C major to C minor. C minor is not the relative minor of C major, okay? C minor comes from a completely different major key. The relative minor of the key of C can be found by finding its 6th note, which happens to be A. So the relative minor of C major is A minor. But here, we're comparing C major to C minor to see the differences in the notes of themselves. By studying this relationship, we can understand what makes a major key different from a minor key. Remember, in music, we always use the major scale as a point of reference for everything else. And that's why we're doing that here. So again, going back to the comparison between C major and C minor, we can see the differences are that the 3, the 6, and the 7 are all made flat. In every minor key, the 3, the 6, and the 7 are flat if you compare them to the major key that has the same letter. So just like I said in a previous video where I showed you that you can find Lydian by making the 4th note sharp from the major scale, and you can find Mixolydian by taking a major scale and making the 7th flat, here we can find a minor or Aeolian scale with the current letter we're using by making the 3, the 6, and the 7 flat. So like for example, if we're in the key of G major, we can find the notes that belong to G minor by making the 3, the 6, and the 7 flat. All right, enough drawing. Let's whip out our guitar and actually look at this stuff on the real deal. The main thing that I really want you to take away from this video is that the 3, the 6, and the 7 are made flat. If you have the major scale, if you find the 3rd note, make it flat, the 6th note, make it flat, and the 7th note, make it flat, you'll have the minor scale. Right? So for this video, I'm not going to really work from that position because it's a little bit harder to fret it. So I'm going to come down here and use a different shape, which is the one that I showed a little bit earlier in the video and the drawing. Starting on the 4th string. Right? That's our Aeolian mode or our minor scale. But basically, the 3, the 6, and the 7 are minor, okay? Or flat, I should say, not flat. 3, 6, and the 7 are flat, that makes it minor. Another thing I wanted to share with you in this particular video is let's get the sound of the minor scale in our head. If I'm using E as a drone note, I talked about drone notes in my last video on the different major modes. Let's find the E on the 4th string. So this is D, this is E here. We want to get the sound of that in our head. The pattern here is like a 1-3-4 on the 4th string, a 1-3-4 on the 3rd string, and a 2-4 using the finger numbering there. And this is how you can experiment with the sound of that minor scale. The other clear distinction I wanted to make today is regarding the difference between the major and the minor scale. So like, say just now I was playing in the E minor, basically in comparison to E major, I'm taking the same notes from E major and I'm making them flat, the 3, the 6, and the 7. But that E minor scale is not coming from the E major key, okay? E minor scale is its own thing. It's coming from a different major key, what's called its parent major key. If we have the key of E minor, it means that's the 6th note in some other major key. So what's the major key it comes from? Well, what major scale has E as its 6th note? So we could start with that note and kind of visualize the major scale and say, well, that's the 6th and a 5 is here. Right? So that means that our note here as the root of the major scale is G. So that means E minor comes from the G major. I don't want you to get confused thinking, okay, I showed you C major and C minor, so C minor comes from C major. It doesn't. We're comparing the difference between major and minor. Major, we get the intervals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 by using the whole, half, whole, half pattern. But if we take that now, that C major scale, and we were to make the 3, the 6, and the 7 flat, we have the notes that are in the C minor. And C minor comes from, if I start there and I try to find its major scale, C is the 6th of E flat major, okay? If we start from there and we go from the 6 to the 6 again, we have the C minor scale. C minor scale is going to have the same exact notes as the E flat major scale, but we're starting from the 6 and going to the 6. So it's a completely different key. It's coming from a different key than C major, but we can study it and see what's the relationship between major and minor by looking at the intervals, which we see that minor has 3, 6, and 7. Okay, if you enjoyed this video and you enjoy these videos and they're helping you out, you can subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed the video. Take care, play the guitar from your heart, and have fun with that. I'll see you next time.